Simply a great collection of YouTubers listed here. Please check all of them out. They were a huge help to me. Hey everyone, I am back today with kind of what I would call a surprise review. So I know some people have said they think I talk too much in some of my reviews and I go on for too long. So I'm going to start off with a 2-minute, very condensed review of the Lotmaxx SC10. And then for the people who are in a rush, listen to those 2 minutes and then go to like the last 2 minutes and look at all the pictures. For everyone else, I'm actually going to, each of the points I raised in this condensed review, I'm going to go into in detail to really explain what I found out about this machine. So I made a list so I could be quick for you guys. So the first thing, difference between the SC10 and the Ender 3 assembly. So I was shocked when I got the SC10, and for the people who stick around, I'm going to explain how this all happened. When I got the SC10, I opened up the box. I had my Ender 3 video ready on my tablet from Tom Tullis, Fat Dragon Games, that great tutorial on how to build your Ender 3, because I could see that this was like an Ender 3 knockoff, and I didn't see a video on how to build it, so I figured I would just use that video. I'm pretty familiar with this stuff now. Shouldn't be too bad. So I was really surprised when I opened up the box, and there was only 2 pieces in there. And so I was like, what the hell? So the thing came totally built, totally square from the factory, which I think, you know, if you follow me online or on Facebook, the biggest issue with Ender 3s and why people don't get good prints is because they haven't built it properly, built it really square and level. So this comes basically built. You literally attach 4 screws to attach the frame to the base and you're done, and it's perfectly level as far as at least mine was when I built it. So that's a huge difference. No, you don't have to worry if you built it right. So to me, that alone is like the biggest difference. I'm worth, I think the price difference right now on these is $70. Not having to build it and having it be built for you perfectly, it's worth more than $70, especially I look at people who have problems on Facebook. Most of it's because I believe they haven't built it right. This just eliminates that problem. So I think that's amazing. It was really surprising, actually. A small thing, there's no twisty knob. Everything's done on the touchscreen, controlling the temperature, moving the menu. Everything's all on the touchscreen, which is nicer. My knob on my Ender 3 hasn't broken, but I always feel like it's going to. So maybe that's neither here nor there, but I don't like the knob, to be honest. The all touchscreen is better. So the other big thing, aside from building your Ender 3, the other thing a lot of people obviously have trouble with if you look at Facebook groups is leveling. Now, this does not auto level, so I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm about to say. It doesn't auto level, but it has like an auto leveling assist, which I thought when I first saw it, I thought it was like marking crap. Who cares? Auto leveling, what does that mean? So anyway, what it does is you push a button and it goes to a corner, push another button, it goes to another corner. So basically it hits all 4 corners and the center. So I thought that's not a big deal because on my Ender, I just move it manually. Who cares? But actually it was nice. It just made it easier to level. I just stuck a piece of paper on the whole bed and then hit all the points and then, loosen up the knobs a little bit till I felt just the tiniest bit of drag in all 5 spots. Then I went back and did all 5 spots again. You should do it, like I think, at least 3 times because these beds, as you know, when you put one part up, it moves. So you want to move it very gradually, all spots. But this made it much easier to level. And, the other thing, and this is important, my Ender, and I'm an Ender fanboy, so I'm not here knocking Ender. My Ender's been pumped out. You look at my prints, great stuff for 6 months now. But my Ender bed was not flat. Like a lot of people complain about the Ender bed, it's not flat. So it's not that big a deal. On mine, I put some electrical tape in the middle, and because my middle was a little lower, and I was able to level it that way. But this machine, first thing I did was check the bed, and it was 100% machined perfectly flat. Now, I don't know. This is the only one I've seen, so I don't know. Could it be possible other ones come and they're not flat? I don't know. But I'm just saying mine was machined perfectly flat, and I have a feeling from what their marking says that they make sure all their pieces are machined flat. So that's also a plus over the Ender because I know a lot of people have had beds that weren't flat on the Ender. Again, it's a problem you could solve, but if you don't have to deal with it for a few extra bucks, why would you even deal with that? Everything on the printer is enclosed, meaning like on your Ender, the whole bottom of the machine is open, right? And dust can get in and whatever, and the electrical panel, you have to print a cover and put a cover on it. Okay, this thing just comes, and you'll see in if you watch the videos a little later in the pictures, you'll see this thing comes just totally enclosed. So that's nice. You don't have to mod it or do anything to it. Aesthetically, it looks a lot nicer. I don't know if anyone cares about that. To me personally, I don't care how the damn thing looks. I only care how it prints. But if people do care how it looks nicer. So I talked about the assembly, but what was amazing about that assembly is that from the time, and I'm not making this up, from the time I opened the box to the time I was printing was 10 minutes. And the first print that I printed off it came out great. And it's not because I knew what I was doing from all the months of printing, because I do know what I'm doing, but literally all I had to do was level the bed, put in the 4 screws, level the bed, which, since I am a little experienced, it only took me 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe if you're new, you're trying to really get it perfect, maybe it'll take you 10 minutes, I don't know. But anyway, I was printing right after that. My first print came out like it had come out off my dialed-in Ender 3. So to get that basically out of the box, to me, was incredible, because I had to work hard to get my Ender printing. And my Ender prints, I think I compared to other people's prints on all the Facebook pages, my Ender print's about as good as anybody's Ender that I've seen. But it took work for me to get it there, and I installed the micro Swiss hot end, changed out the Bowden tube, which I didn't need because I got the hot end. You replace the springs under the bed, replace metal. I did all that stuff. On the Lotmaxx, I don't think you have to do anything. Also, the springs that move the bed, the build plate up and down. On the Ender, you basically have to replace them because they suck. On the Lotmaxx, they put in better springs, so you don't have to replace them. And this doesn't matter to me at all, but I know it will matter to some people. This has a built-in filament runout sensor. So again, for me, I'm kind of around my printer most of the time, and I'm not going to run out of filament. I almost did once. But anyway, filament runout sensor included. You don't have to mod to put it on. It's built right onto the machine. It's great if you need something like that. Okay, quality. Now, I'm not an engineer, so it might be up to someone like an Angus or a Naomi or a Chet to get a machine like this and take it apart. The parts look, I glanced down, the machine's right next to me, so I keep looking down at it. The parts look basically the same as an Ender 3, and some of them look exactly the same. But some of the parts look, they look a little bit higher quality, a little bit heavier. So I'd say, to me, from the outside, it looks about 90% the same as an Ender 3, but some of the parts look a little better, a little higher quality. Again, I will leave that to an engineer, though. They advertised that it's got a really good power supply from Taiwan Mingwei, which is supposedly some kind of very well-known producer in China. I don't know them. I can't vouch for that. I'm spouting off marketing material right there. And the other thing is, it comes, and I never even checked my Ender for this. This comes with 7 different languages programmed into the touchscreen. So almost, of course, Chinese, Japanese, English, I think French, German, Spanish, a couple other ones. I didn't really check. But anyway, it's got multiple languages in the touchscreen already. So I guess for those of you who don't want to operate in English, it might have your language on there, but you can check that on their marketing stuff to see if whatever language you speak or read is on there. So that's it for my quick hitter. Let me finish off the quick hitter. Those are the points that differentiate, I think, the Lotmaxx from the Ender 3. The takeaway from this condensed portion of this review is this. For $70 or $80 more, whatever it is right now, you get a dialed-in Ender 3, basically pre-built for you, that prints beautifully, and again, you're going to see all my prints that I've done, and without all the tweaking, the work, and the modding. I mean, the mods I put on my Ender 3, aside from the time of having to build it and then also having to mod it, I put well over $100 of my mods on my Ender 3 to get it to print like this. So if this machine costs $70 more and prints as good as my modded Ender 3, this machine isn't really more expensive in the end, is it? It basically becomes the same price or even a little cheaper, but without any of the work and the tweaking. So again, I know for some people out there, they like to tweak it, they don't matter, it's easy for them, whatever, but there's a lot of people out there who don't want to have to mess with their machine, build it the right way, and do all this stuff. This machine takes all that out of the equation. So I'm shocked that I'm saying this, but for anyone new getting into 3D printing, I would absolutely recommend this over the Ender 3, because you won't want to be tossing your printer out the window like a lot of us did the first few days we had our Ender 3. Once you get your Ender 3 up and running perfectly and you've done all the work, then it runs like mine's been running like a dream. Like I said, I'm not gainsaying the Ender 3. It's still an amazing machine. But the Lotmaxx SC10, it's like someone took the Ender 3, and this makes sense, someone did this. Someone said, let's take everything great about the Ender 3 and keep it. Let's take everything bad about the Ender 3 that people don't like, and let's improve it. The only thing they could have added, which would have like made this just totally over the top. I'm sure would add a lot of cost. It would be to have it be auto level. If it was auto leveling, this would literally be an out of the box printer. Instead, it's an almost out of the box printer, which is still amazing at this price to get the quality prints that I'm getting just out of the box. And I haven't experimented with tweaking the machine in any way. I haven't even messed with like different temperature settings or anything. I said I'm just whatever worked on my ender, I'm just using it on the Lotmaxx, and that's how I'm testing it. Okay. So anyway, that's the end of my condensed review. For those people who are done listening to me, you've had enough of me, go to the last 2 or 3 minutes of the video and look at all the pictures of the Lotmaxx, what it produced. And I have some very 5 to 10 second clips in there of it running, so you can just see it in operation as well. For everyone else, stay tuned with me. Let's go back over these points quickly. But first let me talk about how this happened. So I guess my YouTube channel got popular enough that one day this company contacted me out of China. And they said, oh, would you test a printer for us? So I assumed it was going to be a resin printer, and I was like, sure, I'd love to test a resin printer, why not? And then they emailed me the name or whatever, and I looked at it, and I said, oh, this is an FDM printer. Now I have an Ender 3, as you guys all know, of course, and my Ender 3 is dialed in. It pumps stuff out night and day, and it pumps out beautiful stuff. I am an Ender 3 fanboy. So I thought, some new company in China is going to send me some crappy Ender 3 knockoff to review. I'm going to get the machine. It's probably not going to measure up to my Ender, or maybe it will equal my Ender, but I saw that on their website that it cost $100 more. So I thought, okay, big deal. They're going to send me a machine. I'll have an extra FDM printer. Maybe I'll do a review. Maybe I won't, especially if it's not really great. What will be the point in doing a review? You know, except maybe to warn people to stay away from it, depending how bad it was. So imagine my surprise when I first opened up the box, and literally I went to pull it out, and first of all, it's not that anyone cares about this, it was really nicely packed, for whatever that's worth. Anyway, so when I pulled it out of the packaging, I realized there's only 2 pieces. You know, I had all my tools down there, I had my video ready, like I said, to build the Ender 3. I was all set for an hour or 2, and I thought I'm really going to build this carefully, because if I really want to test it fairly, I've got to make sure I build it as square as possible so I can really test the machine. And then literally 2 screws on each side to attach the top assembly to the base. And it's absolutely, you can tell, I mean, it's absolutely square as soon as you put those 4 screws in and tighten them. So this was incredible. So I was expecting an hour or 2 of work and being really meticulous trying to assemble this right. Instead, it took me literally like a minute and a half or 2 minutes to screw the 4 screws in, and it was done square. I mean, that was almost mind-blowing to me. I've never tried Prusa. That's my understanding of like when you pay $800, that's what you get, not when you pay $300. So this was like a really pleasant surprise. And I thought, well, it looks square to me, but you don't know till it prints. So I thought, let me wait till I test print it. But I was already loving the fact that my assembly was almost nothing, except, oh, of course, the spool holder has 2 little screws you have to screw in too. So that was like another 30 or 40 seconds, I think. So literally assembly was like 3 to 4 minutes for me. It was crazy. And then the very first thing I did, though, as soon as I realized that and assembled it, I ran to get 2 different metal rulers to check the build plate. Because, like I said, on my Ender, it was off a little bit, and I had to put tape to level it. And this was absolutely 100% perfectly flat, no matter which way I measured. You know, I shined the light, there's no daylight coming through. I mean, 100% flat, which is really important, as you guys know. If you want good prints on, especially on FDM printer, you need everything square and level. You need that build plate to be flat. On your resin printers, it's machined flat. There should be no curvature ever. But for some reason on Ender 3s, we know there's plenty of build plates that aren't straight. Oh, one thing I didn't mention in my short review, so the people who skip this will miss out on it. They have that special flexible sheet. So after your print is done, you clip the sheet is clipped on like a glass bed almost, except it's the flexible, I guess, like PEI material or whatever. So you just unclip it, pop it, and the print pops right off, which is nice. It makes it easier to remove the prints, of course, and the adhesion seems great. So basically, that assembly and ease of use thing to me is humongous, because that's the biggest problem with Ender 3. It's a budget machine, and you have to do a lot of work to make it work. This machine is a budget machine, but it basically comes ready to go. So after that assembly, so to level it, I just took a sheet of paper like this, put it on the bed, And then there, like I said, there's on the touchscreen, you just hit, there's a leveling thing, you hit 0.1, the nozzle goes here, you loosen your wheels so that this goes up a little bit until you feel it dragging a little bit. Then you hit button 2, it goes here, you do the same thing, 3, 4, and then 5. And then I just did that all again twice more, each time moving the paper up a little bit till at the end it should get like a little bit of drag on it when you put like scratching the paper a little bit on all 5 spots. When you have that, you're perfectly level. And the springs underneath this, like I said, are really good, so the bed doesn't seem like it's going to move. I hopefully will never have to level this again. Honestly, I've only had it for a week now, but I've been running it 24/7 for that week. Maybe it's been 8 days, and I'm going to show you guys all the prints, and you'll see the results are pretty incredible. Now, some of you, if there are people who want to hate on me for this, they're going to say, wait, I looked at those prints, they don't look, any better than my under 3 prints, or maybe only slightly better, or why would I spend $7 to get that? The point is, you get those results basically without any work. On my under 3, I had to do a lot of work to get it to the point to get those prints. So I'm not saying the print quality of this just blows the under 3 away, and that's why people should buy it. I think anyone should buy this who doesn't want all the work, tweaking, and engineering that comes along with owning the under 3. If you like that stuff, then I'd say don't get this printer, right? Get the under 3 if you like building stuff and tinkering and fiddling and twiddling. But I think there's a large majority of people who don't want to do that. So that's really, to me, the biggest thing here, is that basically comes assembled square for you, and I think that's really important. Now, the filament runout sensor, which I mentioned before, again, to a lot of people that might matter because they might not be around their printer, maybe they're more absent-minded than me, they forget to change filament sometimes, whatever it may be. It's just an added thing there that if you want to add it on, costs money and time and work, and here it's built into you. I think aside from those points, what's most important, what I wanted when I first started, and because I was intimidated when I first started 3D printing, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know the engineering, and I was a little scared off by people like Angus and Naomi and Chep, who are real engineers, and I know they can take their machine apart and rebuild it perfectly and get it working probably even better, whereas if I take it apart, I'll never get it back together, I thought. So thanks to those helpful YouTubers and watching their videos, I was able to get my Ender 3 working really well, and now I'm comfortable around it. But remembering back to those days, I would have much rather had a Lotmaxx back that first day and just basically been plug and play and been printing like this without ever having to do any of the work or struggle that I went through with my Ender 3. So again, never to knock the Ender 3, but things move forward. This machine is an improvement over the Ender 3. The only thing I can't vouch for, and the only thing I won't say here is, I don't know how it holds up, because obviously I haven't had it for a year. I've had it for, I think, 8 days now. So, but seeing as it looks like the Ender 3, but with slightly better components in some places and exact same components in others, I'm going to guess that it's going to last as long as my Ender and do as well over time, but I won't say it. That's just a hypothesis based on looking at the machine. It seems to be very high quality, very thoughtfully laid out what they did. Like I said, I think a bunch of engineers took an Ender 3 and said, how do we improve on this Ender 3 at a reasonable price? And then they just went and did it, basically. So I'm super impressed with the machine. And I never thought I'd say, honestly, looking at other FDM printers, even when people post up their Prusa for $800, the prints people get off their Prusa are not better than the prints I get off my Ender 3. So I just figured, with Ender 3's dominance, I never imagined myself doing a review of an FDM printer where I would say I would recommend this over an Ender 3. But I am going to recommend this over the Ender 3 just for its ease of use and quality, and all the quality of life things that would make the printer better are there. And like I said, it's just some smart people got together and said, let's improve the Ender, and then they did it. So now that I think about it more, I shouldn't be surprised that someone just takes the Ender technology and then basically ups the game on it. So anyway, so that's the end of my talking review. Let's go look now at the machine in operation, and let's look at I did a bunch of test prints, and I did a few of them. You'll see, one was a 3-day print, 2 of them were 2-day prints, and then I did some minis. I've really tried to put this thing through its paces so I could really truly listen. I'm not making money off this. I don't care if they sell one of these machines or a million of them. I don't make a penny, so I don't care. But I started this channel to help people in the community. So if I think a machine is better then I'm gonna pump it like hell because I want to help people. And if this machine works better, then it will help you if I get the word out. So because I think this machine, especially for new users, is just simply better than the Ender 3, I'm gonna pump it. I'm gonna be like the company spokesperson who's not part of the company. That's just like I pumped the Epax X1 for resin because when I got one and I tried it, it was better than the Photon, even though I love the Photon. The Epax X1, it's an upgrade. And this is an upgrade over the Ender 3. It's the natural progression of things. So anyway, without further ado, let's start looking at what this machine produced for me over these last 8 days. Thanks. So as soon as I got it set up, the first thing I did was go to print out a Goblin Bomber from Duncan Shadow Luca because I had tested my Ender 3 and various Cura profiles, which I developed, which I have videos on, for printing minis. And I got a really great result right off the bat, right out of the box with this Lotmaxx, which you can see here. I was very impressed how it handled all the detail. This actually came out a little better than my dialed-in Ender 3. So I was absolutely shocked actually when I peeled the supports off this. I was like, holy crap, this thing's amazing. Right after that, I thought I'm going to test this machine. So I'm going to give it a difficult terrain piece, which has these crosshatched windows, which are a pain, which has roof tiles, a lot of detail on the walls. And I said, I'm going to let supports go up to this yellow part here. I support block the rest of it because I wanted to see, could it build supports from the base all the way up to those yellow parts without failing? This would be a really, really tough test on a printer. This model, the way I've set it up with the support blockers, blocking off all but the extreme highest parts, it's got to do the windows, no support. It's got to do the wall. It's got to do everything in there and capture all that detail. But it also has to build supports from the base all the way up to the top of that. Those, I think they're called core bells, the sides of the roofs there that I left open for support. So that's a real test to see, can it actually build the supports like that. So now I decided to take a couple little clips in the machine in motion, not time lapse like other people do, just actual clips that are running in real time. So here it is, the very start of it. I was actually already happy because just seeing the raft go down really nicely made me happy. Here it is a little further along, and what you're seeing there is you're seeing the start. If you look on the right side and the left side, I'm zooming a little bit, you're seeing the start of those supports. And they look really perfectly straight lined up. No, not even a string, no nothing. It's handling the start of this print really, really well. So I was, given that it printed the mini so well, I was kind of hoping for this type of result, and it was very encouraging. Now here it is a full day later, because this was a 3-day print. So a day later, and first of all, you can see the floor, the detail on the floor, that actually came out a little better than on my Ender 3, because the floor is little raised nails, and on my Ender 3, there's a little bit of stringing that didn't happen here. Look how nice these supports now printed up. What are say 4 inches so far, 3 to 4 inches, and perfectly straight, nothing amiss at all. It looks great. The windows are coming out great, which I'll give a lot of, I know other people who print this model have trouble with the windows. The windows here are looking totally pristine, which is great. So I'm really, really encouraged, again, how this is progressing. So now this actually won what I think was another 12 hours later. Now here it is done. Supports obviously are still on there. You can see it all appeared to print out perfectly. I was really excited to remove the supports and see what's underneath. But I was really impressed. Look at the window there. Look how this machine handled. And then here's the pictures after I pulled the supports off. I didn't clean it up. I just pulled the supports off, and this thing looks, to me, pretty incredible. Every single bit as good as my dialed-in Ender 3. So this was really, really exciting to see. Tiny little bit of cleanup, which I have to do on my Ender 3 anyway. But see, if you look closely, if I took, I think, probably about the lightest grade sandpaper I have, what I do on a piece like this, I just very lightly rub very, very, very fine grade sandpaper all over the whole thing, and it looks pretty good afterwards. So you can see it from different angles, just to show you how nice it came out. And again, I was really impressed with this, and very happy / surprised how nicely it came out. So let's look at it from a couple different angles. And then, so after this 3-day print, I didn't want to wait so long for my next test, so I went to my Wilds of Wintertide Kickstarter. And what I did was, they had a really cool looking Yeti that I printed on my Ender 3, and it come out really nicely. So I thought, here's another good test for the Lotmaxx, because if it can print this Yeti as nicely as my Ender 3 did, I'm really going to be impressed. So here it is from the front, and you can see it's looking great. You see one horn's a little shorter than the other. In my excitement when this came off, there was a string up there, and I just reached with my finger. I didn't clip. I just reached my fingers and pulled the string, and unfortunately when I pulled, I grabbed the tip of the horn and I broke it off like a dummy. So a little brutish of me, because I was, like I said, I was really excited how nice this came out. I wanted to just get the string off. Anyway, you see from the back, so for an Ender 3 type machine, this Lotmaxx, it produced a beautiful miniature here. I mean, this thing is great. This one stands about 60 millimeters tall for reference. So after this, I thought, you know what, let me now put it through its paces again with some difficult terrain piece. Since it handled one type of terrain piece, I have the cavern piece grotto from the Chlorhaven Kickstarter. So I printed out a rather large piece, and this was about a 1.5 day long print. Again, I haven't cleaned this up at all yet, so again, like if I sand this for 10-15 seconds, I believe it's going to look just about perfect. But if you look, I mean, you look at this print came out smooth. I mean, you can see a little layer lines on the top, a little topographical, like same as on my Ender 3, but the sides came out ultra smooth. I mean, they built this machine really square in the factory before they ship it out, I guess, and I love the way it printed out. Here's another look at it with, here's a bigger one. This one now, this piece, I did, this was a full 2-day print. It's another piece from that Chlorhaven Goblin Grotto. And again, this huge one printed out gorgeous. Again, hasn't been cleaned up at all. I just took it off the printer and ripped the raft off. So a tiny little bit of cleanup and then paint this thing, and I think it's really going to look amazing. So now that you've seen the pictures and seen it in action, you'll see you get these results with no work. I don't want to call it exactly plug and play, just because you have to level the bed yourself, again with their level assist or whatever you want to call it, and it's really not hard to do, but you know, it's not done for you at the factory. So I won't call it really plug and play, but this is 99% plug and play, and you look at the results, pretty incredible, right? And the last thing you've been looking at is the Walrus God from the Wintertide Kickstarter. I wanted to challenge this print with one last mini before I did a review and just make sure that it was really giving me these really good results. And I think you'll agree. You look at what this machine can do. It's a great buy, and I am now recommending it over the Ender. I do think it's better to buy this than to buy an Ender 3. I still can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm saying it. That's how I truly feel. Especially anyone new. If any friend asked me they were getting an FDM printer, I'd absolutely tell them to get the Lotmaxx over the Ender 3 right now. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the review. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel, and I do have instructional videos for printing, 3D printing, and FDM printing and resin printing. So if you need help with either of those, check out my other videos. Hopefully I can help you out. Thanks for watching.